What's going on, y'all? It's saying rotate. So if I don't get a lot of people on, I'm gonna go ahead on and be back on another time. But anyway, I want to talk about early warning signs of narcissism in a relationship. And I just want to kind of like give y'all an example by telling you about my experience during the time that I was in a relationship with a narc. Even though it was a long time ago, I still remember so much about it and what he used to do. And now, since I recognize the signs so easily, I just wanted to talk about it in this video. So, things to look for, like the early warning signs. So, to tell y'all my story, so this might kind of turn into a story time. To tell y'all my story, when I used to go with the narcissist a long, long, long time ago, um, the love bombing stage. It's like everything that we learn about narcissism and the traits that come along with it. I mean, to think back, like all of that stuff is just spot on. Like you can't make it up. So when we first met, I met him through his in-laws, who he was staying with right after he had got out of the military. And which he did lie about. He lied about being in the military. Well, he didn't lie about being in the military. He lied about getting an honorable discharge. But that's another story. I found that out later on down the line. So he was staying with them, and they didn't want him to they wanted him to hurry up and move out. And she was trying to hook us up. His sister-in-law was trying to hook us up. And I used to work a lot. Like my mother had just passed away like 2 years before I met him. And just like they say about narcissists, they love to find people. It's like they target people who just went through something, or who just lost somebody, who's very vulnerable at the time. They know who to target. And so I know that he didn't really have any interest in me as a person, because we really didn't even get a chance to get to know each other before I let him move in with me. That's another sign. They love to find somebody who they can leech off on, who they can just live rent free with. And even though he was working, because they always find those basic entry level jobs, he was working, but the job he had was like, it depended on the weather. And a lot of times, if it's raining too much or whatever, he's not gonna go to work, stuff like that. But either way it goes, no matter what the weather is, like my job, I gotta go. Work calls no matter what. And I like to work. I enjoy being on my own. I had my own place. My mom had just died. I was 18. My sister was 12 years old. And I was taking care of my sister, taking care of my own place. And he met me with my own. And it's like the only thing he really brought, to our relationship was just himself. And whatever he told me about himself, it was like, and of course he would work. But the thing about it is, I always felt like that I was carrying most of the weight. I was paying most of the bills by myself. And until I ended up getting pregnant with our first child. And so it's like I just couldn't depend on him to be there. He pulled the disappearing act. That's another one of the, signs of a narcissist. They love to just disappear on you and just go ghost mode. And like that's one of the worst times to ever, you know, just don't be available for someone is when, they're carrying your child. Like they really depend on you to really be there and carry the weight. And, it's just what's expected in a relationship. So yeah, like I say, just the early signs to look out for is the love bombing. So of course, one of the things that he did the most was in the early stages was try to like cater to me. He had ideas of things that he wanted to do. And it wasn't so much what I wanted to do, but I gave it a chance just for the sake of getting to know him. So I find myself, like going into his world, being more a part of his world than he was willing to be a part of mine. So again, you don't really get to know them because it's like they want to move really fast, and it's like they have these hidden intentions on doing something, and you don't quite think about it like that. Then again, I didn't know I was in a relationship with a narcissist. I didn't even know what a narcissist was back then. I was just I wasn't even 20 years old. But okay, so things that he did to try to love bomb me. One of the examples is, like I say, I worked a lot. When I come from work one day, my sister was home alone, but she know that we had been talking and stuff like that, and we had even been out a couple of times. I guess you could say it was a date, but I just looked at it as hanging out because I've always like kind of stayed to myself. I was pretty much just the working type, just working home type. But when I come home from work one evening, and my sister was like, "Guess what? You don't have to cook. Guess who's here cooking?" And it was him. And he had cooked. He cooked, and you smell the food, walking in the house. I'm like, okay, but I couldn't really like soak up the moment and be appreciative and feel good about it for the simple fact that it was like, that just wasn't normal to me for somebody to kind of step over their boundaries and do something like that for somebody who they hardly even know, who they really just beginning to know. So that's one thing about a narc and the early signs of them, getting to know them or being in a relationship with one. They want to do so much for you, like they want to just take control. He expressed so much of how I just want to cook for you. I just want to be the one to do this and be the one to do that. And it didn't like make me feel like I was being swept off my feet. It just kind of made me feel like you are taking away, my abilities and my choices to do what I want to do. Like, do I get a choice in this? I mean, so after I got on my sister, like, why did you let him in here to cook? It was like, so, that time had passed. Okay, so I was like, so can you just give me some time to get myself together? Unwind, settle down, get freshened up, and then I'm going to holler at you later. But thank you again. And so he left and was like, okay, I'll be back later. I'm going to be back later because I got something else for you. And I was like, see, that's another thing. They don't ask for your permission. They don't ask how you feel about me doing this or that. They just tell you what they're going to do. So I was like, okay, well, I'll see you later. So when he left, I went in my room and there was a poem on my bed. And I'm like, so he wrote a poem. So that's another part of the love bombing. Just doing everything they can just to really get you. And they come on too strong because he was coming on too strong. And it kind of made me run a little bit. It made me like reject him. And he knew it because I started giving him signs of rejection by avoiding him, not opening the door for him, telling my sister, mute the TV. And, I just didn't want to be bothered and having to kind of peek outside and sneak out before I leave to go to work because I didn't want him to be like watching every move I make and like just wearing out his welcome. But that's what they do in the early stages of getting to know you. And it's like they just trying to just slither their way into your life and just become a part of your normal. And just without your permission, like they just take away your ability to choose and say, well, I don't, I'm just, give me some time. I don't think I really want to be in a relationship right now. It's like they don't even give you a chance to say how you feel. They just tell you why you should give them a chance. So anyway, and it all comes down to, well, I did this for you and I did that for you, and you see I did it, I did it that time, I'll continue to do that. But it's like they don't have nothing else to offer to a person in a relationship. That's why you always just feel like that you're just an object. like you're just there when you're in a relationship with a narcissist. Like you never really feel anything from them. Like I never really felt like as time went by, it's like he kept asking me and giving me like a deadline to let him know how I feel about us going forward. Think about, us being in a relationship. It's like he wanted to jump into something with me. So as time went on and we were in a relationship and I ended up, getting pregnant with our first child, it was like he just became just this different person. And I know y'all probably heard so many stories about how the narcissist change once children come into the picture. So once, now we building a family and he become worse, and you start to see, hey Angela, you start to see different things about them. And it was just like, I just felt like I was alone. Like not just the normal postpartum depression that you go through. It was just something else. It was just something else. And then being someone so young with a child, and I'm so used to being an independent, young woman, and I had my own, and I still did. It was just like I knew I couldn't depend on him to carry the weight, while while I'm on maternity leave and stuff, like while I'm taking care of a newborn baby. I just couldn't depend on him. I just still felt like too much was on me, and he just wanted the clout of having a child, and he just wanted people to just put so much emphasis on, just him being a dad, until it was just like I was just non-existent, like I was just a person that had his child. So that's just some of the signs of, early warning signs of being in a relationship with the narc from my experience. And even though, again, this was a long time ago, it happened. And I think about it a lot now because learning about narcissism, I could speak on it more now. It's like I could recognize it more. I could speak on it more and really pinpoint out the things that people should look for when you first get into a situationship with a narcissist, because it will never be a normal, healthy relationship. It's really just a situationship. And the sad part about it is when children are involved, and you're in it alone, because a narcissist is very unemotionally there. They are just not there. They're not going to give you that support that you need. It's just non-existent with them. So yeah, what else I wanted to talk about? Another thing, like I talked about the love bombing stage and just some of the strange things he did. Okay, and then when we started a family, when I had my baby, my first child, and stuff, and it's just like, oh, and another thing that's kind of strange, it's kind of creepy in a way too. Like when I had my first child, he kept asking how I feel, not in a way as how you feel, do you need anything, I want to make you comfortable, just things that they should do. He was asking me how did it feel being pregnant. Like he really wanted to feel that. I know that might sound crazy to y'all, but he was even asking like about labor. Like a lot of men, they don't care about that, because a lot of it, that's something when they're witnessing a woman in labor, like when they witnessing the labor, the pain and everything about that, it just kind of like, it makes their stomach turn. They can't handle it. Men cannot handle it. And that's why they're known to like throw up and stuff like that in the delivery room, or they just can't handle it. They're ready for it to hurry up and be over. It makes them gag just to see all of that when you're giving birth. But with him, it's like he did get nauseous and stuff like that. Like he did gag. He couldn't handle it for a minute. But at the same time, he was asking too much about how do I feel, because he wanted to feel it. Like he really was trying to feel the way I was expressing. Like, and who want to talk about the pain that you're in when you're in labor? Like that's the last thing you want to talk about, first of all. Like, get out of my face. I don't even want to see, like, leave me alone. That's me when I'm in labor. Like, don't talk to me. Like, I be on a whole nother level of rage when you in that kind of pain. And I know a lot of women can agree with that. But yeah, that was just something strange too about him. Again, that's my experience. He just wanted to talk about it, like, and he would go back into mentioning, trying to compare my labor pains to what he had been through when he was in a military. And I'm like, this is not the time to even talk about that. You should be making sure that I'm comfortable, making sure that I'm straight, getting the house prepared for when we come home, me and the baby. Like, why are you worrying about how I feel and stuff like that? Like, you know, did you want to carry the child? It just was strange to me. But anyway, that's just something I wanted to point out right quick. Another thing is, okay, so one of the times we were coming home from, and I hated to call my house his home because it was like for a long time I was so used to being independent. I got everything on my own. I did. And when I let him into my life and we got in a relationship, yeah, it's true, and I let him move in with me and all that. It was hard to break the habit of me saying our, because I just didn't feel like he worked as hard as I did to get everything that I had at that moment. Even leading up to me having a baby, like, I brought everything that we needed. Like, I did it all. Even when, yeah, but that's just something that I think about a lot. Like, that's why it was so hard for me to just, see us as a couple and like in a partnership and just really embrace him being, my man, because I just didn't feel like that he was really all in it like me. I don't feel like that he really put forth 100% of, he just didn't put his whole into being in a relationship. He just wasn't all the way there. And I just always felt like, even when I had my first child, that it was just us. And that's why it was like, again, it was hard to break the habit of saying my house and my this and my that, because he didn't bring anything to the table when we first got together. Nothing but his clothes. I mean, it was my furniture. My house was fully furnished, just everything. What else? And so when it comes to like the silent treatment in a relationship, my experience with it, from what I can remember, is when one time we came home from grocery shopping one evening. I never forget this. And my cousin was waiting outside for me to get home. And he met with a friend of his. So they was just like outside, just socializing, just talking, whatever. They were just messing around. And so when we made it to the house and we were out there talking, so he went on inside with the groceries. And he kept coming out for me to come inside. Like, why are you still out here with them talking? Like, and I'm like, I'm coming in. What's the problem? Like, what's the problem? But I noticed in that moment that just little things like that, he really tried to control. Like, narcissists have this way of giving you a look that'll make you know already what they're thinking. You can feel what they're thinking. You already know what's coming. And they're going to give you a certain look when you're around people. And they're going to give you, it's going to be even worse when you're with them alone. So it was like he felt like I had embarrassed him by not obeying him and coming in the house when he wanted me to, because he expected me to do something that it was completely out of his ordinary for me not to just kind of like move when he expected me to move. And he wasn't ever physically abusive with me. It was just things that he did that just made me feel like, you don't make me feel good when you do stuff like that. It don't feel good for you to act that way, to behave that way. And so it's like when I made it in the house, he gave me the silent treatment. And it was like, you still carrying on from what happened an hour ago. And he wanted to point out to me that, what you did, you don't think that was wrong what you did. And I was like, what is you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, you acting like a child. No, that's messed up what you did earlier. I'm calling you in and you just ignore me and you out there with them. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I'm out there with my cousin and his guy friend. So it was like, why are you making a big deal out of that? That's just something to think about, though. That's something that they do. They don't let go of moments that have passed a long time ago. They want to remind you that you did something wrong. And for that, you should, admit to it and apologize, which I didn't feel like I did anything wrong to apologize for to begin with. Hey, y'all, Angela, Edie. Yeah, but, it just made me feel like, why are you trying to make me admit to something that is, I didn't even do nothing wrong. I just didn't move when you wanted me to. But that's something that they do when they try to punish you. They love to point out, that you didn't do something that they expected you to do. So now they give you a silent treatment and you don't even know why they went, just went, you know, just stonewall on you all in a sudden. And when he finally, open up and say something, you mean to tell me you was tripping about that? I didn't even do nothing. So, that's where I was with it back then. And to just think about that now, it's like, I just be feeling like such a weight has been lifted off my shoulder from way back then. Like, when a person had went through abuse that they never really opened up about from a long time ago. And when they finally come to the point where they're able to recognize what happened and say to myself, dang, it was, that person the whole while. It wasn't me. I didn't do anything wrong. I know I wasn't tripping. I know I'm not crazy. I know I wasn't losing my mind. It just feel like a huge weight been lifted off your shoulders. And that's where I'm at now with it, 20 something years later. My oldest, he just turned 23 this year. My youngest, because we have 2 kids together. She just turned 22. Yes, we had 2 kids. I had my kids back to back. I only have 2 kids. He have more than, he have kids outside of ours. But yeah, that's just something to think about. And another thing, it was like when we would break up. We broke up after my second child was conceived. We broke up. It was a wrap. We did not stay in a long-term relationship. We stayed together maybe 3 years. And out of those 3 years, I got my 2 kids. And, I never really felt that connection with him. I never felt the connection when we was having sex. I felt like, like, again, like just an object. Like somebody that he just used to just get off on. Like I never really felt, y'all know what I'm talking about. So, yeah. And what else? So, yeah, it ended like right before I even had my second child. It ended. And the way he called himself, like they move on so fast. He moved on so fast with different females. Like it's just, you wouldn't believe. And when he moved on with them, the things that he gave me, he ended up giving them. Like I would see these women with like a jacket on that he gave me, just things. It was just these things that I thought that belonged to us. At least like leave me with something, the little bit of whatever we had going on, during the time we were together. That wasn't even for me. It was so easy for him, and it was like nothing. It's like nothing to a narcissist to just move on, and the same thing they offer you, they offer to another person. They offer to the next, which lets you feel worthless. You kind of feel worthless when they treat you like that. When you see this going on, and again, you start to question your own self-worth and feel like, you just start to punish yourself. And for a long time, for years, I punished myself and felt like that I wasn't worthy of love or being in a long-term relationship. And that's why I wasn't. And I held on to the idea that maybe he will start to feel a certain way toward me, and that would make me feel that way in return and be able to embrace what we didn't have at first. At first, it was like we were just together just to be together. But looking back at that now and knowing better and knowing about narcissism, I know now that I was just an object to him. I was just an opportunity, you know, just someone else that he can rely on. I was very beneficial to him, and within that, you know, we had 2 kids. But the worst thing as far as parenting with the narcissist is for you to carry all the weight. As far as co-parenting, there's really no co-parenting because a narcissist is a child themselves. It's like I had 3 kids, 4 kids with my sister. My sister helped me with my kids so good. When my sister left, when my sister graduated from high school, she graduated at 17 years old. She went straight into the Army. She graduated in May of 2000. She went into the Army in July of 2000. And when she went into the Army, my birthday is July 18th. When she went in the Army, she went in, when she made it to South Carolina, to Fort Jackson, her recruiter, he came to the house. And he was like, I just come to let you know she made it there safe. And in that moment, when he told me that my birthday was the next day, it was July 17th, he said, and she told me to give you this. And it was, they opened them up a bank account when you go into the military. She gave me her debit card, and she had, I think they give you 2, and on it was like $600. But I didn't open it right away. I thought it was just a birthday card. So when he left, and he was all dressed down with all the military clothes on in the Army, he had that black on and that black hat, just looking good, and we end up going together for a little while. But anyway, when he left, I went in her room and I sat on her bed, and I just felt like I missed her so much. I just broke down crying when I opened that card, and she had left me all that money because she knew how hard it was to raise her. That was her way of paying me back. And she knew how hard it was for me. She knew that it was a struggle a little bit after I had kids. It wasn't so much of a struggle before then. She helped me real good with my kids when she become old enough to kind of like fend for herself and stuff like that. She spoiled them and everything. They would never go without. So even though they needed that father figure, I did my part. I did, more than enough. Being a mom and a dad, I played both roles. And then I had my sister there for support when she was old enough to give that type of support. But yeah, that's just something I wanted to pinpoint out. When I went to her graduation in Fort Jackson, he tried to draw so much attention towards him, because they do anything when they know that you have just completely cut them off with no contact and just discarded them. They don't know how to handle it. Again, all this is just coming back to me. He claimed to be losing his mind just by knowing that I'm leaving Louisiana to go to South Carolina to see my sister graduate from basic training. He couldn't handle that. He made a big scene talking about I'm trying to take his kids away from him, and just went crazy. And he was working out offshore, so he was on the ship or whatever. He made sure that those people give him just that much attention to go get psychiatric evaluation, so he would leave work. That would be his excuse to go on emergency leave, just so he can try to stop me from leaving the state to go see my sister graduate from basic. I had never left the state before in my life. And so it was like he claimed to be losing his mind, and he gonna commit suicide if I take his kids away from him and stuff like that. And when those people notified me, I'm like, I'm not taking his kids away from him. We're leaving the state to go out of town. My sister graduated from basic training and stuff. When I let them know that, he just did all of that just as an excuse to get out of work and just to bring attention towards him, so that he can be looked at as a victim of somebody who's having a hard time, with the mother of his kids. They just do the most to get attention. And that just came out of nowhere to me, because that was a behavior in him that I had never experienced with him. And so he really thought that I was going to leave the, he really didn't think that I was going to leave the state. He just didn't want me. He just, just didn't want me to take my kids with me. Like, what makes you think I'm about to leave my little kids here? I had my first one in 97 and my second child in 98. My sister graduated in 2000 from basic. She graduated, I think, in 2000 or 2001. I'm not going to leave my little kids here while I'm traveling, way to South Carolina from Louisiana. No. And you wasn't caring about them before you knew I was going to leave. So that's just the type of games they play. They try to make you feel guilty. And it didn't work. Because I was very attached to my kids. They was going to be with me. I don't give a damn what he was going to do. But yeah, so he claimed he going to commit suicide if we don't get married as soon as I make it back to Louisiana. And I'm like, oh, well, you need to go get some help because I'm not marrying you. That's when I let him know that I was seeing the guy, the recruiter. Me and him had started seeing each other, and he was helping me so good. He was a real good person to be with and stuff like that. Like, it was a normal relationship. I had forgot what that was. I forgot what that was because, mind you, I hadn't been in a relationship since I was in high school with my high school boyfriend. And that ended right after my mother died. I was with him for a little while, and then it ended. And then that's when I met the narc. And then after the narc, I wasn't really worrying about being in a relationship, but this person was really there for me, really helping me. I really seen genuine interest. Like, he really had genuine interest in me. So it was different, and I liked the way it made me feel. That helped me move on from the narcissist. Again, that ended way back in the early 2000s. So this is not nothing that happened recently. I'm just, I just wanted to point out signs of being with a narcissist, like being in a relationship. As many videos as I've done, I never really spoke on it. I probably spoke on a few things as far as being with him, but I never really pointed out everything from beginning, when we first met. And I just wanted to talk about that. In my first live, I tried to go live, it was yesterday or the other day, but I just couldn't get nobody to really tune in, and I just say I'm just going to go ahead on and just do it. And if don't too many people tune in this time, maybe y'all can catch the playback. I'll leave it up for a little while, or for a few days before I take it down. But anyway, thank y'all for watching. I seen a couple of comments pop up earlier, but yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. They're 5 years old and a man. Yep, very childlike. And he still is like that. You're welcome. I missed out on recording yesterday, so that's why I'm bringing this one to y'all today. And I say I'm going to just do a little extra and go live, since I never really go live. Yeah. But, yeah. Thank y'all for watching. And I'll see y'all in the next video, which will be on Monday. And yeah, I'm not gonna be doing the videos anymore on the NBA YoungBoy, any of that. And these people, they live right here in my city, so it's like I kind of don't really want to talk about that. It's not easy really talking about people that's like not far from me. Not that he lives here right now, but he's down here a lot. I know he lives in Texas now. And I've been paying attention to a lot that's going on with Lil Yoshi and all that. And I know that y'all probably looking out for the news on it. But I recluse myself from that because it's conflict of interest. Like, I'm real close with that family. So that's why I'm not going to speak on that. But, again, y'all, thank y'all for watching. I need to get on in the house now and give me something to eat. And I'll talk to y'all soon.